I'm going to begin with a short reflection on what makes this 25th anniversary so special and what has been the contribution of the International Seabed Authority to the development of the international law of the sea. Of course, everything begins with the Convention, our Constitution for the Ocean, which was adopted in 1982 and signed in Jamaica in Montego Bay. The Convention took the unprecedented step of setting aside the deep seabed beyond national jurisdiction and its mineral resources as the common heritage of mankind. It gave the ISA the exclusive mandate to manage deep sea mineral resources for the benefit of mankind, and thereby creating what, in my view, is the most innovative legal regime ever designed for the equitable and sustainable use of natural resources. It took some time, 12 years in the case of the Convention, for this to be accepted and for the Convention to enter into force. And of course, this could only happen thanks to the negotiation of a special implementing agreement in 1994, which also marked the establishment of the authority. Well, fast forward 25 years, and I really believe there is a lot to celebrate. So what has the Convention achieved, and what has the authority achieved? Well, first, the Convention has received almost universal acceptance, with 168 ratifications, including all the major maritime powers, except for the United States, as well as the EU and all its member states. Second, there have been no unilateral claims to seabed resources since entry into force of the Convention. Third, all the so-called pioneer claims to deep-sea mine sites made before the entry into force of the Convention have been brought under the single regime of the Convention and the 1994 agreement. Fourth, the authority has demonstrated that it is an effective regulator, having adopted by consensus comprehensive exploration codes for the three main deep-sea mineral resources, including stringent provisions for the protection of the marine environment. Fifth, the authority provided the Seabed Disputes Chamber of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea the opportunity to clarify the law applicable to the sponsorship of deep-sea mining activities, as well at the same time as to demonstrate the effectiveness of the dispute settlement provisions under the Convention. And sixth, on the strength of this regulatory regime, the authority has succeeded to attract significant investment in deep-sea exploration in the form of 30 contracts involving 22 different states parties. Significantly, this also includes several developing states parties which would not have the capacity to access the deep sea were it not for the preferential rights granted to them under the Convention. And seventh, the intensive exploration work that has taken place so far under these contracts and is still taking place has added enormously to the total sum of human knowledge of the marine environment, thus contributing to one of the other objectives of the legal regime, which is to promote and encourage marine scientific research for the benefit of all humanity. These are all major achievements and should be celebrated. Let us remember that without the Convention and the authority, deep-sea mineral resources would be open to anybody on a first-come, first-served basis, without international management and with no global environmental standards. As it is, deep-sea mineral exploration is one of the most tightly regulated activities in the ocean. Unlike any other industrial activity in the ocean, it can only be undertaken by a qualified entity, sponsored by a state party to the Convention, under a contract with the authority, and in accordance with the terms set out in the Convention. 25 years of experience has shown us that against all expectations, this unique regime actually works. It has provided a solid basis to attract public and private investment into marine mineral resources. It has enabled us to get a better understanding of the enormous potential of these resources to support a rapid transition to a sustainable, low-carbon economy based on renewable energy. And most of all, it has demonstrated that even in these skeptical times, when the effectiveness of many international institutions is being challenged, it is possible to manage a global public good through multilateral cooperation and strong multilateral institutions. I like to visualize the mandate of the authority in 2019 in these 4 boxes. Managing resources. Well, it's clear that the mineral resources of the deep seabed are the largest untapped mineral resource on the planet. Thanks to the Convention and the system administered by the authority, we now have the tools to manage this resource effectively and in such a way as to benefit everyone. This is important because, as Jim pointed out, it is increasingly recognized that we will need new sources of minerals to help us make the transition towards a low-carbon future by 2050. Seabed minerals won't be the only solution, but they will be part of the solution. Thanks to the Convention, we have a unique opportunity before us to put in place prudent and precautionary rules before extractive activity begins. It's the authority that is the only body that will decide how and where deep-sea mining will take place, under what conditions, how environmental impacts will be managed, and which areas will be protected. So in this way, we can be confident that the future deep-sea mining industry will be managed by global rules that are binding on everyone and put environmental protection at the front and center of everything that we do. Protecting the environment and promoting marine scientific research really go together. The authority has a clear mandate to protect the marine environment, to promote and encourage marine scientific research in the area, to build capacity, and to ensure fully integrated participation by developing states. The commitment of the authority to deliver against these objectives is embedded in the first strategic plan that was adopted this year. In marine science, the authority is also well positioned to provide global leadership in solving problems that are too big and too complex for governments to solve by themselves. An example are the efforts that we are making to unlock biodiversity knowledge of the deep seabed through international scientific collaborations and sharing standardized databases. So working with others through the framework of Part 11, we have the opportunity to deliver transformative knowledge on the biodiversity of the area and to create a lasting legacy of new data, tools, and training that will facilitate the effective protection of the marine environment. But perhaps the greatest challenge for the authority going forward is to decide how to implement its obligation to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits as required by the Convention. This includes both monetary and non-monetary benefits, such as capacity development and access to scientific knowledge. But once again, this is an area where the Convention was far ahead of its time by establishing, as a matter of principle, that the area and its resources are the common heritage of mankind, something that has not been achieved in any other area. So further developing the legal, philosophical, economic principles of efficient, equitable, and fair use and sharing in an international context can inform practices in other issues related to the global commons. A good example An obvious example is the application this may have in the ongoing discussion of the conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. So in conclusion, I suggest that even 25 years after the entry into force of the Convention, the full potential of the authority's mandate is yet to be fully realized and understood. However, by building on the achievements of the past 25 years, we can use this unique global mandate to move forward collectively in a way that not only meets the demands of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, but also helps to shape the implementation of international law for the next 30 to 50 years. I thank you very much.